Honourable Speaker, sir, I rise to respond to His Excellency's most gracious speech delivered in this August Parliament to mark the opening of the new parliamentary calendar. I echo the sentiments of His Excellency in that the outbreak of COVID-19 has disturbed the global politics, social, economic, and financial structures. Most importantly, the loss of loved ones and those who have struggled to make ends meet in Fiji and around the world. With millions becoming victims to the virus, our nation has fought valiantly to defend its borders, to contain the virus from further entering our social fabric and affect our lives. Honourable Speaker, sir, Fiji's leadership's decisive action and the whole of nation coordination has resulted in over 200 days containment of COVID-19 pandemic at our borders. I wish to join His Excellency in acknowledging the true patriotism and selflessness displayed by our frontliners for the past 220 plus days, and to this day they continue to stay united to maintain our COVID-contained status. Honourable Speaker, I also wish to salute the resilience of our people and recognize that while no system, operating guideline or response strategy was available to spare our nation for this catastrophic impact of this global pandemic, we rose above the uncertainties, the anxieties to a stronger, safer, and more resilient Fiji. To the fisherman, the farmer, entrepreneur, business owners, loyal employees, students, of all who have adapted, diversified, and become resolute in the face of this calamity. While we begin to enjoy some level of normalcy in our day-to-day lives, I call on all Fijians to remain vigilant and disciplined, to adhering to the only proven prevention to this global pandemic: wash hands, exercise cough etiquette, and good hygiene practices. Honourable Speaker, as the nation reels to take a grip of the global economic upheaval from the effects of COVID-19, Fiji has soared to greater heights with proactiveness, strategic planning, and smart partnerships when the Fijian government announced its budget earlier this year. We all have a part to play in bringing Fiji back to the road to economic recovery. Honourable Speaker, sir, I will restrict my contributions to fisheries and the initiatives the Ministry has embarked on to assist our people, especially those communities involved in the industry. Fisheries has not only been affected by COVID-19, but also climate change, which has a major effect on the changing conditions of our oceans. For the fisheries sector, like any other, the impact of COVID-19 cannot be understated, and the Ministry of Fisheries is working its level best to implement its repositioning strategy of ensuring balance between resource utilization and resource sustainability. Honourable Speaker, sir, in the context of global fisheries, tuna industries has always provided the Pacific Island nations. While some countries are not heavily dependent on tuna, it is important to acknowledge that the high dependency of others. If we look back at how most of our economies have evolved, it is imperative that we recognize the contribution of the tuna sector, which have paved the pathway for most of our small island developing states. A reason behind this is the development of international and regional framework that ensures the sustainability of fish stocks. This is only through the collective commitment of countries such as Fiji and others in the region to start implementing sustainable measures at a national level. The Fijian government values its development partners in our effort to balancing our desire to establish marine protected areas, to investing in research development, investing in satellite technology, investing in our policy capacity and capabilities to help with monitoring our exclusive economic zone, and strengthening our laws to be able to effectively combat illegal, unreported and unregulated fishing within our EEZ. Honourable Speaker, sir, I wish to speak on the repositioning of coastal fisheries. In clear recognition of this, we can say that to some extent, our coastal fisheries need our attention. To help transform our coastal fisheries, there are key elements that need to be in place. Firstly is the need for investment support in research and development. The well-being of all Fijians is one of government's priority. The Ministry is working to provide alternatives of an ever-increasing population. In years to come, the world's growing population will need more food, medicine, energy, and minerals. If managed wisely, the oceans and its resources hold the key to meeting these needs and the need for economic development. Secondly, Honourable Speaker, the legal framework. The Ministry of Fisheries recognizes the need to develop relevant and fit-for-purpose legislation. Work is already underway in this space to support activities geared towards the development of sustainable coastal seafood platform. The legislative provisions will support and guide the need for science, enforcement, management measure, and economic progress in a way that recognizes sustainable development goals. Thirdly, Honourable Speaker, is the management guideline or policy framework. Recognizing the different stakeholders that are involved in coastal fisheries, management guidelines play a key role in achieving a holistic approach. Holistic approach includes but not limited to community inclusiveness and recognizing the need for available science and the use of traditional knowledge, all of which are important for sustainable fisheries management. Fourthly, Honourable Speaker, is having enough workforce and finance to aid implementation. Workforce and financial support have always played an important role in sustainable fisheries management. If we are to ensure that fish that we consume and those that we send off to the markets are sustainable, then we need to invest in our workforce and identify appropriate funding mechanism to support this work. The vastness of our coastline, coupled with different activities weaved into our fishing sector, constantly requires additional workforce and funding support. We are fortunate that through internal and external partners, Fiji is able to address some of these needs, and we are determined to continue to work building on this. Let me discuss ocean farming and the impact it could provide. Honourable Speaker, sir, in the area of ocean farming, I am happy to share with the Parliament the developments that has evolved. Ocean farming definitely build towards a blue continent. Ocean farms produce incredibly nutritious food that benefit fish and other marine organisms. Honourable Speaker, sir, this pandemic calls for a change in narrative and drive towards ocean farming, coincidentally building toward a blue continent. In Fiji, this is done through the various scales of inclusive of different marine species. At our communities, ocean farming involves the culture of seaweed, edible oysters, pearl oysters, mabe pearls, and clams. While this is done at different levels, the result of this development is worth recognizing. The Ministry hopes that through ocean farming, communities are presented with alternative source of livelihood that can be sustained, managed, and protected. This leads to a reduction in wild-caught species, allowing for vulnerable stocks to recover. Honourable Speaker, sir, additionally, most of these designated areas will become safe nursing and foraging grounds for marine species, and since oceans farms have a natural setup, species interaction will be boosted. It is important to note that the government has been relentless in its effort to ensure Fijians are secure and have needs provided for during these unprecedented times. The Ministry of Fisheries early this year was provided with an increased budget on food security project for aquaculture. The Ministry of Fisheries has maximized the scope of assistance of food security and commercial aquaculture farmers. The Ministry received 200 applicants this year, the most since its inception. This assistance includes pond clearing, fertilizer, piping for ponds, feed and seed for one cycle, provision of specialized aquaculture equipment such as nursing, sampling, harvesting materials, infrastructure development and improvement. We are strictly working with the farms that were assessed, as this will be a critical time for aquaculture in Fiji. Additional to that, the Aquaculture Division has reallocated its manpower to work with all farmers in the 4 regions and pooling all its resources together by providing sampling, harvesting and post-harvesting kits to key allocated clusters. In line with this, the Ministry's immediate response and recovery to large and small-scale aquaculture Fijian farmers is the efforts to supply maximum number of tilapia fries, prawns and shrimp post-lavish to our farmers. In this regard, our national hatcheries are putting all resources together to double our targets and maximize supplies to all farmers across Fiji. Honourable Speaker, sir, the challenge to building back better and repositioning our key programs to meet the needs of today and tomorrow's generation is even more critical than ever. The intensifying impact of climate change on our ocean is compelling us to review our approaches in managing our oceans and our fisheries resources. As you may be aware, late last month, government launched the public consultation of its first national ocean policy. The government is committed to harmonizing several and occasionally competing issues that may be adversely impacted by a range of development activities that are regulated by different government agencies. National ocean governance is therefore challenging a single version of policy that commits all of our government to follow and implement in an integrated way. Our work on ocean protection and production must align to our global UN goals, inclusive of Goal 14, Life Below Water, and our resilience of the ocean and our ocean economy must be enhanced. In having said that, Honourable Speaker, ocean farming and sustainable aquaculture practices is the future if we are to successfully protect our depleting ocean resources. While this call for is building our knowledge around sustainable ocean farming while being aided by innovation and technology. We share the benefits of our fisheries resources and we are privileged to have inherited it from our forefathers and those who have stood by the work of sustaining it for us. It is our time to do the same. Honourable Speaker, sir, the government gives the reassurance that through the Ministry of Fisheries, it is committed to a swift, inclusive recovery across the offshore, coastal and aquaculture fisheries in cushioning the current and future impact of COVID-19, ensuring repositioning of focused efforts to economic recovery and strengthening resilience to the looming climate and ocean biodiversity crisis for present and future generations. We must change the narrative. I would like to end by stating that as we transform toward a sustainable economy, as we work our way through to economic restoration, our approach should be that everyone has a part to play. This includes smart partnership, greater and effective collaboration, and a holistic approach. Honourable Speaker, as this is the last scheduled meeting for Parliament for 2020, please allow me to wish you your good self, Honourable Speaker, sir, members of Parliament, and all Fijians a Merry Christmas and a happy 2021. Honourable Speaker, Nakabakalewu, and I thank you for your indulgence.